Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of the 4x4 Fab Shop. And as you've seen, as I was trying to lay a bead down, if this is an older SP125, it's probably close to 30 years old. It has the original gun, which is the original liner and everything in it. And if you get anything out of position, if there's any kind of bend at all in the lead, it wants to sputter real bad. So I was doing a job recently up under a car. You can't never get in a good position, and it was that nonstop pulsing until it finally started. If you straighten out the lead so that there's no resistance, it goes right through. And I've turned the tension up, I've done a lot of things. So today we're going to change the gun and kind of give the machine a little bit of a tune-up. Alright, so let me show you what we're doing. Alright, so first things first, we got to pull the wire out. We don't got to pull it out of the machine, we just got to disconnect it. And as always, make sure you keep tension on this wire, because if you let it unspool, you're going to have a big mess on your hands. There's always a hole in the spool. Just an easy one, just put it in there and just set it aside. Alright, so inside here in the feeder area, we have our tensioner. It's quite tight because I had it trying to squeeze on that wire to make it work. So in here, should be able to undo that wing nut and pull this whole thing out. So you have the two connections for the trigger. And we have this wing nut. And that should allow me to pull the gun out. Then just, you're going to have to feed your wires through. And to get the wires through. So the gun will really come out that easy. And I'm really surprised I wasn't having gas issues as well. So after a while these O-rings get dry. And this unit, it changes out pretty quick. Alright, so this is just a standard Mig gun. Bought it off Amazon. And these older Lincolns, there's several of them that'll actually fit it. So that's a 150 amp gun. Big thing we're looking for is make sure that the ends are the same. That looks good. It's got the standard 2 plugs just like the other one has. Right, so there's the new one, there's the old one. The only thing I have to do is I put this sheath on everything so it doesn't get burnt up or anything. And these shields are nice thing to put on just to keep everything good. Keep everything from getting splattered on. And they're pretty easy, they just zip on. Now the other thing to check when you buy a new gun is unless you're trying to match consumables to something else, just make sure all your consumables are the same. Right? Same shielding cups. Because if you've got this one, you've probably got spare parts. Right? Make sure your tips are all the same. Right, you can just make sure your tips are all the same. Because we have a bunch of tips and parts for the old one. And I'll leave a link for this. If you got an older Lincoln, there's several that these fit. You'll see on the link that it fits several of the other machines. And these change out pretty easy. You just got to replace the zip tie on each end so in case it comes unzipped. We're just going to put this on real fast. So you just get the zipper started. It's like zipping up a coat. and just zips. Don't let this end just flop on the ground. So if it damages any of that brass fitting, you're going to have issues. Now this sheath is longer than what it needed to be. Okay, so when you put this together, I don't like having dry O-rings. You got an O-ring at the end here. Now I'm going to use just a little bit of this dielectric grease. Don't go crazy with this. You just want to lube the O-ring just a little bit. Just a little coating. You goop it up. You don't want to get grease in none of these holes. That's where your gas flows out of. We'll feed our connection through. So that's in. And what we'll do is we'll just feed this through. Now remember, there's a flat here. That's what that O-ring, there's a flat here. That's what that wing nut goes on. Just wiggle it in. Once it's in, and what I would do is I would just rock this a little bit, tighten your wing nut down. It doesn't have to be like stupid tight. I'm going to pass the fittings to the loom. You get a friend with little bitty hands. It's be a good job for them. And we're just going to plug them in. It'll work either way. Okay, so we're just going to hit the turn on. See if the feeder works. That's a good sign. Get your fresh end. I like to use these needle nose pliers for this in this machine because there's just no room. And especially if I'm trying to shoot. You see it goes through. Now there's a guide on the far side. You're just trying to get it inside of there. Now this, when you buy these guns, you buy it in wire size ranges. I bought this just for a 25 thou wire. You also can buy it for the 30 and 35. Right, so there's the wire. Now your wire tension is set here, and it squeezes on this roller. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little kink in the wire, and we're going to hold it about 2 inches above the floor. And just give it a little tension until it feeds. Just crunch it up, get it zipped on. So the sheaths are nice. Alright, so this is kind of a generic gun. You can see all the different guns that it actually fits. And you just buy them for whatever. Right? So where this is a Tweco Mini 10 foot. Right, so whatever size wire you're running, buy for the amp range, and then it'll list off, you know, what size. It'll list off all the different guns that it fits. A really good description on the Amazon page as well, and I'll leave a link for this. We're an Amazon affiliate, so you know, if you're interested in it, take a look at it. It always helps the channel. Okay, so as part of the rebuild, we're going to put a fresh ground clamp on it. Now, I couldn't find a good one that has the copper on the inside, so they make the ground so that some of them are steel like this, and they make the copper ones like this. I'd have to order that. So we're just going to give it a good freshen up while we're in here. Alright, so I'm just going to run a little bit of emery on this in case there's any kind of corrosion or anything on it. Alright, so that came out fairly well. New ground clamp, new trigger, and a new gun. Okay, so that was replacing the ground clamp and new gun assembly for an SP125 Plus Lincoln. It's a pretty easy change out. Every now and then things just wear out. This unit is probably somewhere around 30 years old, and it was all factory equipment. And we'll keep it. It's got sentimental value to me. So every now and then, just a little maintenance is a good thing. So if you enjoyed stuff like this, I'll put a link up here for some welding. Or if you enjoy other things like bending, I'll see in a link here. So this has been another edition of 4x4 Fab Shop. And I'll see you in the next video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share.